Enra ena me who post be on social media. Now, you see, a lot of people will take the post for granted. People will just look at the funny side because me who say nkrofo bebre aba comment on the funny side of that post. But yesterday I was listening to a year Joy News. Reporter our call courts our quoting some will be confirming say indeed something like this happened. Now you see the Deputy Attorney General in the person of Justice Shremsai enra court proceedings no owie no okose wo kwa akochia the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice. Now you say response as suspended Chief Justice no edema no. It didn't show as obia at a point in time now or state person. Chief Justice no. Said the response awadema the Deputy Attorney General no name kaye. Now let me read commenter obi de beto social media. Nipa kuna friend Koku Abochi. Also following the court session, the Deputy Attorney General approached her to offer a polite greeting. And the Deputy Attorney General no approachino say okochiano. But she responded sharply, "No, Shremsai, I won't entertain you. I am no hypocrite. I am fighting for everyone's sake." And the Deputy Attorney General no call say wokwa akochiano. Asemo a wokan say dabi, minchiao. Me nyanya atwumni. Minchiao, die ntia na wo ba be chia me. Minchiao, entokwa we ya mekun, enya me na meku ama me ho. Meku ama Ghana for. And so that is the suspended Chief Justice. What she's saying. Now we are going to do analysis on that, but I want you to know something about the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Shremsai. I want you to know something about him, and I'm going to show you a post he made on social media some time ago. So this is Justice Shremsai. This was Justice Shremsai around May 21st when he went to court, and then on the opponent, right? On the opponent or court, and on the opponent ekuko chiaye. Na woko chia ni opponent na asema wakan ye ni asema wotro ye ni. Osi quote, "And do as adversaries do in law, strive mightily, but eat and drink as friends." Unquote. William Shakespeare. It is Justice Shremsai etroye say William Shakespeare can sembi say obetumi ne obi enya asem wo court one ne be ko de denden one ne be ko asem wo yetamfo nanso court ewie mo ko wie e wo court wie na mo pie na mo ba abonte a mo ye adamfofo mo betumi edidi abom mo betumi anom ensa abom aye bibi abom na ye ensem bia William Shakespeare etroto wo ntu tumi hu ne say Justice Shremsai no ono ne mentality ni. And I constantly tell you, say, I'm not going to lie. Listen, I am not going to sit here and act as a hypocrite. I'm not going to lie. So, reaction, yeah, mami, edema Justice Shremsai. If me, I was to be in her position, I'll even do the same thing. Because constantly I've told you, say, me when say me new be yeah, the na nipa kona so ne me ko ana ompema asema na bibi oye bibi etiamia. I'm not going to lie. That is me, who I am personally. Okay, and so if the suspended Chief Justice feels that that is what she would do to Justice Shremsai, there's no problem. But you see, the problem I personally have is that someone like that, you don't place her in a position as a Chief Justice. If Obisano or a private person, cool. And I've told you constantly, me a subaya me a woman me. I know that it is my flaw, and I'm constantly working towards that. Me melodies amiti sana me subainte. That is here. Say uyobi na only me ye me unimo me shower ubehu like you know. Sa so me see ade a me de ye na anye ne de me ma me sresre nhyantino so feel say the Attorney General is fighting her and then Justice Remsai is representing the Attorney General and all that, and they are fighting her and all that. Now Justice Remsai bechiano. No catch Justice Remsai said Dabi. Mini unchia. Na mini ensria. Okay. Personal. Okay. But as a Chief Justice, Obi also we a Chief Justice there. You are not supposed to act that way. Once you exhibit those traits, you don't deserve to be a Chief Justice again. Because then you are showing, say, you are too emotional. You are overly emotional for that position. That position is a position where, sebe, any emotions need dealing. A law. For nothing at all, Krane also when say Justice Remsai Ebia, he's not having any personal issues with you. Sebe, and you know a petition, you know. Justice Remsai is just working under the president. And by his role as the Deputy Attorney General, no, he has to defend the government. Into only president in Enya Asem and only abide in Enya Asem. It just happens that Justice Remsai was a ye. And so for the Chief Justice to take this on Justice Remsai, it tells you her emotional level, her emotional intelligence level, and how someone who is on that level of emotional intelligence, no, how that person is eligible to handle a position very sensitive as a Chief Justice. No, for me, I think that even disqualifies her. Unless Abia a branch here a friend Koku Abochin, someone walk on the intro. But Sunny American yesterday, Join News for a reporter, one more reporter, and also he said something that similar. Say indeed, it looked like Justice Remsai went to the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice, and the suspended Chief Justice was not happy. The comment she passed on Justice Remsai, and it's like she wasn't happy and all that. But then again, I am telling you, if this is exactly what happened, then the suspended Chief Justice clearly has shown her temperament, and she has shown that she is not capable enough to handle the position as a Chief Justice. Here, yenim President Akufo-Addo, yenim say no mpe Mahama asem. Yenim people close to President Akufo-Addo Gabi Otrega akomo no mpe His Excellency John Dramani Mahama asem. But so much share wo programmer, you see what happens. In fact, even MPP krano Kennedy Japan ene baomia. Omo be kam yo mo be ken bia eti omo ho. But omo koko share wo kroma. You see what happens. Even those days na Kennedy Japan, even Kennedy Japan, those days are no Kasitia Mahama. Omo share wo kroma. You are going to see a difference with what you say. Because at the end of the day, you see, if you want to be a politician or you are holding a very sensitive position, there are certain things where you need to let go. Just like Justice Remsai, into what Justice Remsai, the quotation where I will quote here of William Shakespeare now. For people who are supposed to be politicians and people who are supposed to be handling or be put in very high sensitive positions, no, this is how they are supposed to behave. I say, and do as adversaries do in law. Strive mightily, but eat and drink as friends. Mushia se wu ye we juma na ene de seriousness. Ba omi akokopie e wo MPP platform so se wo ye na ejuma ene de obo Mahama echi ene Mahama bon. Mahama nso ekokoshia wo NDC platform so no akaseti aba omi a ba omi abon wa bon, but omo ni akokoshia wo baby a eye serie nkwa. They forget because William Shakespeare asemo a kind indeed it is true. And do as adversaries do in law. Strive mightily, but eat and drink as friends. Ejuma. And so if you've ever been a Chief Justice and you don't understand this, and then you are taking it on a Deputy Attorney General, you don't understand this logic to the point where you know, say, it is not the Deputy Attorney General against you. He is just playing his role. You don't have to take it on the Deputy Attorney General. And then in court, allegedly, you are taking it on the Deputy Attorney General. Then whatever we need to understand, whatever I was say, we are understanding. Here, case way by, I'm not going to lie. There were people who I would say said they were neutral about the case. Even though I believe that a lot of Ghanaians were seeking say, "Mami, yebe no." There were people who were very neutral about the case. And some people, whether you can see ye mami na ye in krana, they weren't bothered. But her mami conduct, and then whatever she has done, clearly to me when they say, "Enkrofo na no muji mami ni di krano." Say jidie na no mo mami ni muno akofom. Dientia because of entokwa mami no as a by force, made ye mekon by force, made ye mekon. The fact that she is not even self-aware to realize that you can't fight the system. No. That is what is funny to people. The fact that she's not self-aware to realize that her stay is no longer welcomed. That is what is funny to people. Look at the judges sitting on the case. And look at the ruling they are bringing. It should even tell you. Because MPP for Enyayanka judges nibe ruliama no. But the judges are saying, said Dabi, Yema Embra Ayejuma. They are not being emotional about it. That should tell you. Say even the judges believe say Ayejuma Naba, Yenye Yejuma Pepepe, Finchem. Because a suspended Chief Justice, now the case akwakoto or colleagues in him, now colleagues now my unanimous decision against you. It should send a message. Every single thing is telling you that your stay is no longer welcome. But still, petre, still giddy. Media mekun. If you're a human being and you don't understand that at certain points in, listen, if you read the book, The Art of War, if you're a human being and you don't understand that at certain points in your life, you don't have to fight. There's a certain point in a stage of war. Yesterday, Obi can send me, and the Bakuna Samo kind of me who say, a Yansasem. Obi Samo kind of say, you see, Chief Justice way, Nanka or self-aware, Nanka Bebuano. Because immediately, NDC buy na ke also no anka se wo hu ne se ne mbra so inti nanko yobia de obeya ne se obehya ase se one president o hia president no okay obi asema wo kan o se oyobia ko behya ase se wo ne president no ehia no ne have meetings na wo kan sema kire no na wo de waka kire president ne se o de no problem se o pese o yimi as a year chief justice problem ni ho. Because NDC for and the Momo Kaisa Moba Mobe and it's a more person Muyimi as Chief Justice no problem. Mestre Modie pe link be mame. Nebia international body be Minkonko play role be ewo. And I think say like His Excellency John Dramani Mahama would have easily done that. Not said directly or no be appointed, but Nanka links be because yes, you can't tell me His Excellency John Dramani Mahama he's not having any link. Resenia MPP for former minister for foreign affairs or play role is it African Union or UN or whatever sa position now no what you say some international gig be you could have easily liaised with the president and then spoken with the president so that dear say we be lose position we krana yempe some international gig be now the men na Ghana mpo and just be sitting there and just be playing your role akaboni nim. And I mean, who say will be trust as na make us say nibako we asema work and nyansa wom. But who ye say NDC for ba eno kan nsa echim say mekun there are sometimes you can't fight this into kwa bi wo ho a you can't fight here even in the Bible. Let me tell you, even in the Bible nyankopon obi a wo man ni tumi a wo kon. If you read the Bible and you read about the strength of David and David ni soldiers are not new omoko and the wars they fought and the people they conquered that utumi hu ne say ahondenfo nyankopon sheda ma David ahonden e ma ne kunye. But even in the Bible nyankopon promised David ahonden no. David knew when to fight and he knew when not to fight. When Saul was after David to kill David knew say na nyankopon hira no. He knew say na nyankopon wa kantam say wo bema wonu David na ba beda ne hene. But David antenasi anka say me de nyankopon hira me enti obe protect me enti ngina ho na me ne so enko dabi. David ran odwane ye kokko hye nrem. To me bisa Nyankopon say enra na me hye sisia no so oba obehu mi ana Nyankopon to me ka ten say ane oba obehu na wasan so adwane na wakwa akɔhye baby fufuro. Because he knew times and season. He knew when to fight and he knew when to run. He knew when to surrender. Meboa monka nyam se meboa. When David nankasa ne ba etu so sa wone so a ne ba pese wo tu ni free ade so no. What did David do? He ran. Enye se bia Satan na Nyankopon ombo David hu ban yo. Na Nyankopon ombo David hu ban papa. Meboa monka nyam se meboa. Na Nyankopon wo ye den obo David hu ban papa. But odwane ye because onim se embre bi wo ho. E wo se wodwane. Eno no Nyankopon na be ko ntokwa ama. Bibia adwo a no wa ba betwi uti. Nti David dwane ye ono ankasa na ba soriti ano odwane ye. Bibia adwo ye no na David sanso ba no sanso be gi na henie. Even Jesus Christ. Ansa ne ye be wo Jesus Christ no. Eye esoro abofo show Jesus Christ esoro abofo edi ne chi ai ansa ne ye be wo ne esoro abofo aba be ka kire ne maame ene ne papa. Say ye be wo akola bi to me kran say ni say ye wo Jesus Christ re ye ohene a no wo hote say ye wo Jesus Christ no pese wo kuno e de na si ye na nka so abofo betumi aka say ma ohene ne mra ye be protect Jesus ye be kun ohene ni soldiers mebo a pa so abofo no aseme no kan momfa Jesus na momfa ni nwane because in life you need to know say no matter how strong you are there are times you don't need to fight. And de bia na wo se wo ko. Intia na say se wu nim na de bia wo koye ho be man sem be man sem de bia ye be man de bia ye be man to kwa bia pese wo ko a. Wan hwe ya wo nyi nche. Because there are times bi I was say ote. Times bi wo ho eni kwan se wo ko. And if you read the history of mankind and the history of every single person what fighting wars we ni bia na they are going to tell you that enye de bia na ye ko. Times be where the seasons are not favoring. They don't favor you. You don't fight. To Jesus, ye dini gane ye. Later, koko build it up. Vie ye. Bibia adwo ye. Ene ye sanso de ne bae. Meboa mon kanjem se meboa. Enti at the point Ghana for and especially wo hwe CBD reports. Global Info Analytics. Obi biara wo ye savvy e wo Ghana judiciary bia no e kan say Ghana ye judiciary no perception no atop from people have lost trust in the judiciary. There and then as the head of the judiciary now someone who said there is fire on the mountain, there is a big problem coming. And then you saw how the NDC won and won massively. There and then if you are self-aware, you are supposed to know say dabi the problem at hand no esun. And so if these people were coming after you, because we are self-aware now when they say this is not the time to fight. Because me kokon amegu menimo ase. Me say yende sikrum na koko bisa nkrofo. Omo ana ade ne sha ase ana ebia wo munye neutral ni na no. And because of Chief Justice nyama wo ye and by force me come by force me kono. Amen na asem asai. Omo anom ye neutral no and they are not supporting her again. Even MPP fo a omo gina emu deden ne and what is MPP ni bi kasa on her behalf. MPP ni bi aniwa wo kasa ma ni biom. Because clearly omo ehun ni say well ono ankasa se wo ahonde a ono ankasa be ko ne ntokwa de a yenya no nko ne ntokwa. Uni mutokwa ko Nyankopon won ko bi ma wo. And so for you to say you are not going to entertain him. Oh, you're hypocrite. You are fighting for everyone's sake. Everyone bang. Everyone bang. When you people were at the Supreme Court, you didn't listen to everyone. You took decisions on your own. When Ghanaians were saying, say, ye pesajin mensa, obabe testify no. You people said no. Today you say you are fighting for us. You know how to fight for Ghanaians. And during COVID time, mukoma controversial ruling. I mean, I'm not. You are, of course, it's our ruling. No, and now ote panel no problem. But we've seen controversial rulings in this country from the Supreme Court. And it's amwamo amwamo no kware. Nti sende na ka bibi say esi I didn't expect said the Chief Justice would do this to the Deputy Attorney General. Seriously, as this report is coming out, I really didn't expect this from the Chief Justice. Because you don't have a problem with Shremsai. Nothing was going to happen if you smiled. Shremsai extended inside. And there was nothing if you smiled. You didn't have to say this to Shremsai, because for you to say this to Shremsai, it speaks of your emotional intelligence. It speaks of the fact that, listen, you don't, seriously, baby are doing there. It speaks of the fact that, mame, the baby are there doing there. Won't say the echo so I say. Now, Shremsai, I don't know why bonnie bang. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen? Shremsai will chroma. You are not going to be okay with him just because he was the Deputy Attorney General there. So you're expecting Shremsai to say, okay, I am the Deputy Attorney General there, even though the government that I've been appointed in is having a problem with you. Media, the Assembly, media, me unko na Shremsai bakota or saying I know the near Chief Justice man. I mean, how do you expect Shremsai to do that? How? I mean, seriously, let's read comments and see what Ghanaians are saying about this. Where ye Jifagunu, unim Jifagunu, unim say, or ye, or also, I mean, he's the CEO of Ghana Digital Center. What he has here, or say, I think Shremsai should have just gone his way. Into Jifagunu and someone walking, or say, Shremsai, the Nanka, no, you Susan and Keniko has a Shremsai, Kosa Wokuchama, Menekra. What he has here, but as I've told you, Intiana Metria Shremsai, Utumi Hune say, or no, Nisubai no. He believes in William Shakespeare, the quotation way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I say grandma took it personal. I say ha. The dose she prepared is being served to her, and so no issues at all. Koku Abuchi. I say meanwhile, no one asked her to fight for us or to us. We asked her to simply resign, not to fight. It was all Kwama, no, because a young summer or say Kumayan. Yet they say resigning. Also over Kwamayan. I say Obisi, where everyone means. I say imagine her actions against lawyers and her colleagues on the bench in an unlikely event she is reinstated. And you see, one of the issues are you raise it here or the fact that you were rude against one of the petitioners. And idea way out there stream say or more around no can say and the idea out there about papa no quarry. The lawyer Akogo our petition ye can say in the court there what the year no senior o chain to because you see because it shows say emotionally no what you say it shows say na obufuntem no be obufuntem now you judge there and you dey grab am obi ademu so obufuntem now you judge. It's enko. Obi ye bibi kitwa na obufu a. Udi agro abema ni bako na dem just because ubuefu. So seriously, if indeed this happened, just as it's being reported, then it really doesn't speak well. Obi say she keeps bleeding. Or say who and who are everyone. Or say wow, this is personal. Or say oh, so Shremsai and 50 are all hypocrites. I say, oh really? Grandma be emotional. I say, hey, by how? I say, making fun of a lawyer who is practiced for over 20 years and at the bench for more than 15 years. You go to court and take pictures of her. No conscience and regards for ethics. I say, NPP Women Organizer is pinned rough. Obi say, wow. I say, she be super emotional rough. I say, she's fighting for herself. She's a hypocrite. I say, what was polite in the processes leading to her suspension? It is clear that she wants to abstain from any smoke screen of a process. I say, I'm pretty sure Nanado has willed the CJ position to Madam Torkornoo forever. Obi say, ha. Obi say, hey, true. I say, that woman hates anything NDC. Why approach her in the first place? She sees NDC members as enemies. Well, it could also be. Obi has someone can say, well, Mami not time NDC. Man, Obi ma. You see, sometimes Obi has someone what kind say. Mame no, the history is that I don't know, but there's a story. You say allegedly no, ne wafa. NDC time BB ne wafa sembi by ma NDC insensembi intino. I say, akwa say ma me no heard ne mba. Ne mba ni be a lawyer. Ne ba ni be a lawyer, right? Into we had the NDC time. Ye de ne maame and there. Clearly, ne ba no enya de obepe NDC asem. Into that chibi ne ba so ba be da ne chief justice clearly no NDC NDC asem beton ne ba n'animu a NDC 40 ati you know, apparently no what some people are saying, what some people are alleging, and they say that's what she also saw when she was growing up. Into sometimes no o share the ekoso between NDC and so you see some people in their heads the NDC is an enemy, the NDC is a devil. We hear the NDC baby and your mofe. Into be so at these allegations no ebono. Won't you your comment box them? But I say.